Hi everyone, welcome to another of Ian's interviews. Joining me is a very special guest on the back of Intel's Ice Lake Xeon Scalable launch. We have the CVP and GM of Intel Xeon Memory Group. Please join me in welcoming Lisa Spelman. Hi Lisa.
Hello. Hey, Ian. Thank you for having me. It's good to be here.
It's a very busy day for Intel today, isn't it?
Yes, well, it's exciting though, so we like it.
I'd like to start this interview by speaking about Ice Lake Xeon itself. It's finally here. It's been a long time coming. We've been speaking about it for a little while now, it seems. But you have a new Sunny Cove core design. We've got optimizations for the server industry, for AI. We're now at 40 cores on Intel. New security features, memory performance. Historically, when Intel has its Xeon or Xeon scalable products, it looks to address every corner of the market. Is this still true with Ice Lake Xeon Scalable?
Yes, and I think you're hitting on some of those, key features and benefits. And what we're doing here is we're updating the platform, we're updating the processor, and we're updating a bunch of our portfolio all at once, which we think delivers a tremendous amount of customer value. But to your question on the every corner of the market, it is a differentiator of ours where we really are focused on hitting edge workloads, on delivering through the network and driving further network virtualization and transformation onto Xeon. We're delivering in core data center, we're delivering in cloud and high performance computing. And so we're continuing to seek to expand the services and capabilities that we can offer for customers and just deliver that platform consistency across so many of their use cases. So I never call Xeon a server product. I worked so hard to get it changed into being called a true data center product. And now it's actually even extended out beyond that to sitting in so many edge and ruggedized environments. So I take great pride and joy in seeing a Xeon on every, base station and telephone pole.
I mean, so those sort of extra markets that Intel plays in now, that's really big opportunity for revenue growth, and that's been a big feature of what previous CEO Bob Swan and what Pat Gelsinger has been saying recently, hasn't it?
Yep, it is. It's a revenue opportunity and it's a customer service opportunity. It allows us to, again, address more of their needs. And actually, it allows us to play a more important role in our customers' success. So when you're not just in their data center, but you're spanning all of the ways in which our customers are seeking to drive their own value, their own monetization. And so, actually, that's some of the funnest stuff to be part of.
A lot of focus of Intel Xeon over the past generations has been about, core performance for common everyday workloads, for server, for data center customers. But Intel right now seems very much focused on delivering the solution, enabled through all different parts of the ecosystem. We're talking Optane DC persistent memory. We're talking new 800 series Ethernet, Optane SSD, 3D NAND, FPGAs, EA6, and even the software stack like DL Boost and One API. Can you go into kind of how customer demand in the ecosystem has been shifting from, simply purchasing a processor to purchasing this sort of solution optimized design that goes beyond the core?
Yeah, and I still describe Xeon as the most general purpose of all general purpose solutions. It can literally run anything, and it'll give you a good out of box experience on everything. But we have spent a tremendous amount of effort and resources in how we can improve that in more specific areas. And we do target those towards higher growth areas. You mentioned artificial intelligence. That's an area where we're investing both on the hardware side, which is super important, but the software is at least equal, if not more importance to really turn on the performance. And then using that entire portfolio to deliver in the solutions, mindset. And I'll say that has probably been one of our biggest changes, is how to not engage with our customers and view our market as like, I have a chip, please buy a chip. But looking at and thinking through and working with them on much more holistic requirements. So our requirements gathering has definitely improved and become much more comprehensive. And then we've built some solutions capabilities and solutions offerings on top of it. And we talk about market ready solutions, especially targeted at the edge, and we talk about select solutions for cloud and enterprise and network and HPC use cases. And we actually have similar type of programs, though less focused on the branding, that is for our top cloud service provider customers as well, in creating cloud engineering efforts that are focused on, again, not just delivering those custom SKUs, but pairing those custom SKUs with, like you mentioned, the Optane performance or the Ethernet 800 series performance, and really helping them drive more value out of their infrastructure purchases. An area where we've been utilizing the FPGA portion of our portfolio is in the move into SmartNICs as well, which is a growing area of interest, and gives us an opportunity to really holistically address customers' infrastructure management, as well as the monetization they want to do on top of the core, if you will.
So, I mean, as Intel is shifting into that sort of solution-focused promotion aspect, how important or relevant are raw core performance comparisons in the server industry these days?
I still think there's a core of the audience and the industry that wants to hear that and wants to see what it looks like. So I don't want to see us walk away from utilization of benchmarks. I just also am trying to drive the team and working on this, and I think people will see this in the market, is the pairing of the benchmark with the actual real world result when you use either the CPU Xeon product or the entirety of the Xeon platform. So we want to be able to drive that translation, because customers are in different spots in their journey around that solutions view. So I think it's important for us to continue to drive performance up, and we will continue to report on and discuss standardized benchmarks, but we're adding into it a lot more of a holistic view of what the portfolio can do. So I think it's important to meet our customers and our audiences where they're at, instead of kind of dictating where we're at.
No, that's certainly fair. And one of the highlights I think of that has been over the years how Intel has approached AVX-512. It was originally introduced with Xeon Phi back in 2011, 2013. And then we've seen it on main processors for Skylake, and now it's rolling out into, consumer desktop, laptop. There's still some confusion about how pervasive AVX-512 is, especially when it comes to, say, enterprise and cloud service provider code bases.
Yep.
So perhaps can I ask about what you're seeing, the sort of pickup trends you're seeing with AVX-512, and how critical it will be for Intel as Intel progresses forward with platforms with AVX-512 enabled?
Yeah. So AVX-512 is it's a great feature, and it has tremendous value for our customers that use it. And I marvel. Sometimes this is your audience, about the raucous debate they will have about the value of AVX-512. But I tell you, and no joke, like a week and a half or so before launch, I was looking at a list, one of our geographies. I was going through a list of deal wins, and 70% of the deal wins, the reason listed, our sales force has to put in, the reason listed was AVX-512. And so the optimization is real. What happens though, and I'm going to talk about AVX-512 and it'll lead into SGX, is that when you launch and announce something new, despite our 10,000 plus software engineers and our coverage of the ecosystem, it's hard to get all of the stack that can take advantage of one of those hardware features. It's really hard to get that completely enabled. So it has taken us years, and there's more work to be done. So Has every customer that could benefit from AVX-512 had access to that because the software stack is completely ready? No. Have a tremendous amount more this year than we're able to in 2011 or 2012 or 2015 or 2017? The answer is yes. So it just keeps growing. And if I said I was going to link it to SGX, if you look at this, ability to now have the larger size enclave on Xeon Scalable, but we've had SGX in the market on our Xeon E product line for a few generations, and that has allowed a tremendous amount of industry preparation and adoption, and it allows you to see who's really deeply interested and committed in building that confidential computing foundation. And so by the time now that it moves into the two socket, larger footprint, larger enclave size, people can start to actually scale their deployments pretty quickly because they're ready. And so you look at cloud service providers that already have confidential computing instances like Microsoft, IBM, Alibaba, Baidu, and then you look at these enterprises, Royal Bank of Canada, PayPal, Visa, UCSF, German Healthcare, companies like this that have they're well underway to deployment because they have the time, and now they can move it into even greater scale. So I'm getting a little long-winded, but it actually leads back to how I think of and am working with our team on overall roadmap management. And we have seen and are driving a shift over these past few years to focus more concretely on meaningful feature advancement versus an addition of a laundry list of features. So we're much more focused and prescriptive about looking at, if I add a feature, what will it take to have that feature utilized and benefit a customer versus what does it take to put it in the hardware? And that's a shift in an Intel mindset and Intel thinking, but I think it'll benefit not only ourselves, but our customers as well. They'll see more stuff, more ready in the market.
So SGX software guard extensions, something you've had in Xeon E for a while, now fully moving up into the wider Xeon stack. You are doing some sort of segmentation there with enclave size. You got some SKUs doing 8 gigs, some doing 64, some doing 512. And I've already spoken with Nutanix, I think it is, because they're deploying an SGX portfolio around Intel Ice Lake. Can you speak to reasons why this segmentation matters to Intel, but also on the security side? I mean, Intel and security, two very words that go together, have gone together in use over the last few years. So can you speak about other security elements that the platform is enabling as well?
Yeah. So on the enclave size, this is about giving customers choice and opportunity, and really they have the opportunity to think through what type of deployment that they're going to need, what type of enclave size, what type of data are they trying to manage, what type of applications are they trying to more robustly secure, and this gives them that optionality. It's the first time we are bringing that choice into the market, and so we'll learn from that, and we'll get feedback from our customers. Obviously, we've worked with our ecosystem of cloud and OEM and TEM partners as we build out what the SKU stack looks like. But now we'll get all of that real world customer deployment information, and then we'll make adjustments as we go forward. So you've been through enough of these launches with us and seen how we tend to do this, where we start with a effort, and then we refine it over time as we see and address the market adoption. So we think this will give customers a great foundation to start with, and we think we'll see even more customers transition their existing POCs on Xeon E into deployments. And then we'll see a new wave of proof of concepts for customers that were waiting, honestly, for a little bit more of that, true market readiness and that, two socket system. So I think that will all, be good and give us an opportunity to learn and grow in the market together. So that is one of our biggest, security advancements, adding that hardware based addition to people's software security portfolio. We're also adding further crypto acceleration. And this is an area that Intel's been, invested in for, several years, a decade. And we do see it as a true differentiator for us. And we have just a brilliant team that focuses in this space, works on both the hardware and the cryptographic algorithms as well to support that hardware. And it's an area of really tight collaboration with our customers. And, as you heard me say at launch, the race is on to get as much data as possible, able to be encrypted, keep it under greater security. And anyways, I think that this is going to continue to build upon a very important feature set and capability that our customers benefit from already.
Speaking about the customers, historically, when Intel comes out with a Xeon platform launch, it scales all the way from 1 socket to 8 sockets, and then buffers if you want to go beyond that. We've now got a situation where with third generation Xeon Scalable, we're splitting it up, where you've got Ice Lake on the 1 to 2 socket on 10 nanometer, and Cooper Lake on 4 to 8 socket on 14 nanometer. Can you explain reasons for splitting the markets, whether it's related to technical limitations or customer demand, or is there something else in the mix? And is this indicative of what we might see in the future, or will Intel be coalescing in the future back again?
I think that we are building an even greater flexibility in our portfolio. And I think you'll see a lot of optionality that we create with, some of the stuff Pat talked about last week, or maybe it's 2 weeks ago, that Pat talked about to meet customer needs that might not be quite so node dependent or, specific. In this case, we had an opportunity to, refresh and bring forth some new capabilities in that 4 socket and above space ahead of Ice Lake. And so we made the choice to take advantage of that opportunity, add some new capabilities, meet some very specific high volume customer requirements that we had in that space. And we knew we could do that ahead of getting Ice Lake out. So, and then given the size of the traditional 4 socket enterprise market, along again with the ecosystem, the double investment in an Ice Lake or Xeon, 3rd-gen Xeon Scalable, double investment for another 4 socket so quickly seemed like too much to manage for the value. So we had delivered the right capabilities to use the first portion of the 3rd-gen portfolio for refresh and to meet a couple of really big customer requirements. And then we're going to actually have the ecosystem focus on not only their Ice Lake 2 socket systems, but moving on to our next generation of Sapphire, which will cover, the whole of the stack. So it was a little bit opportunistic and a little bit driven by customer demand, not a real strategy to separate the two. But as we increase our ability and pace to bring new technology to market, we may still look at how often the traditional 4 socket market needs that level of refresh.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Speaking to those select customers, in the past, I think it was at the Data Centric Innovation Day, I remember a slide where it had a pie chart saying, here are all the Skylake Xeons that we make, and more than half of them are customized to specific customer needs, especially, these big high-profile customers, cloud service providers, the hyperscalers. Would you say that you're still more than 50% customizing for those sorts of big customers? Can you talk about how that has evolved?
Yes, and I would say you'll continue to see that. What we're also trying to do, though, is add a level, or continue really a level of customization for all those markets I talked about. So across the, the main, roadmap of SKUs, you will see, we already talked about the, SGX enclave size opportunity. We'll see SKUs that are kind of cloud optimized for virtual machine utilization. You'll see the networking and NFV optimized SKUs, the N SKUs, some media processing optimized opportunities, some long life and more ruggedized use case for edge workloads. So we're trying to provide a level of customization even within the main SKU stack for those that have that kind of precision targeting of their infrastructure for their workload. And then we do still deliver, 50%, and it'll continue to grow, of customized volume. So over time, we have grown our capabilities in this space. I have a separate team that we've invested in that manages our custom SKU with our major customers. And this allows them to really tune and target for their environments. And it started out as a couple of knobs, and then it's grown. And we have the capability and ability and willingness to do full-on customization up to the IP level. And what we do with those SKUs is, as we manufacture them, as we create them, as we deploy them, we actually leave that up to our customers for how much of the detail that they want to expose. With that co-optimization, that's often a lot of their own, significance and how they differentiate themselves. So we consider that a lot of their ability to determine how much they want to share with the world. So we focus on the kind of main, the performance benchmarking. Everything we do is on the main line, available to everyone.
So it's interesting that you bring up the new separate SKUs that you have, beyond the NFV ones which you had previous generation. You have a media focused SKU. What's that all about? What's that got in it that's special?
Well, so if you think about the workload itself, again, we're trying to target for the mix across the right core count, the frequency, and then the mix between your single core versus your all core turbos, how much cache is in there, what the thermals look like for the environment. But I'll say, in this case, across media processing optimized, it's working with our we have a team that's focused on this workload and these key customers, and as they gather requirements from the CDN operators, and that type of customer base, the online gaming operators, all of those types of customers, what is the most ideal configurations for guaranteeing quality of service and allowing for as much performance to be delivered before moving potentially to offload accelerators. Then the other thing we'll do, so those are the hardware configurations, and we have those kind of limited knobs we might turn to create that SKU. The second thing we'll do is we'll move that into where we focus our software work for them. So as we do encoding, software support, and try to make sure they're updated, we will focus that work on that specific SKU and that configuration. So you'll get benefits across any SKU you choose, but we'll do the greater tuning and optimization for that code that's targeted towards this. So it'll give again, on a standard benchmark, you might get X performance, but if you take the media SKU version against that code, you'll get an X plus a couple percent, or could be 10%, whatever the case might be.
I also noticed there's a liquid cooled processor in the stack.
Yep.
Is that for HPC or?
Yeah. So and you never know who's out there going to experiment as well, but yes, definitely focused towards HPC. And I still haven't personally had the opportunity to dip my hand in a tank of something and pull out a Xeon, but I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, so
sorry. When I say liquid cooled, I thought it meant sort of like a closed loop liquid cooler. You're talking about immersion cooling.
Well, we have customers that are looking to do all of the above. So we have customers that we have a customer in every corner of the earth that wants to push the boundaries on all of it, on everything. But so Yes, definitely. The place where we see the most traction and interest is in the high performance computing community, and their capabilities have continued to progress and grow. And we especially have some of our OEMs that have built up a lot of specialization in this space and use it for their differentiation, and we want to support that.
Changing direction here a little bit. I say Xeon mainstream server platform, moving forward. Though at the same time, Intel is also talking about its enterprise graphics solutions. So, is there anything special in here that gets enabled when the two are paired together?
We are definitely working on that. I don't have a third gen Xeon scalable, better together. But as we look out towards Sapphire and beyond, it's definitely something that we're working together on to ensure. I mean, we absolutely want that portfolio value to show up when you put an Intel Xeon with an Intel GPU, and deliver that. So one API as a software foundation for it, and then between my team and Jeff McVeigh's team and in Raj's organization, we'll work to make sure that we are delivering on that value promise. So it's too big of an opportunity to miss. So yeah, but I have nothing to reveal for you today.
Darn.
Yeah.
So, I mean, in the past, when Intel's launched a Xeon platform, we typically talk about 3 silicon sizes for the Xeon products. A low core count for entry, mid core count for bulk of the market, high core count for compute or cache optimized solutions, and then all the sort of little individual optimizations can come from anywhere in the stack, kind of. But can you describe how Intel is segmenting the silicon this time around, and perhaps mention any special segments that customers should be aware of?
Um, it's fairly similar, in the sense that we obviously have our top highest core count offerings, up to the 40 core, and we have the kind of higher thermal configurations that you can hit. So driving towards that peak performance and trying to really drive down latency, improve performance. And then we have options that are go down to 105 watts, so kind of covering the whole range. Like I said, as you try to hit out at some of those edge workloads, you want to offer that whole range of offerings. And we go down to 8 cores. So our lowest core count, 8 up to 40 cores. And then, like you said, a range of cache sizes in between. So it's somewhat similar from those offerings. I think what we'll see too, though, is we will have customers that will remain on their second gen platforms as well. Like it's functioning well. They might be not as high performance of a buyer as of a purchaser, and so they may value the just stability and continuity of staying with the platform instead of moving or refreshing. And we just intend to support both of those types of customers in the market. I really think that the way that the market has segmented and shifted, that the days of that wholesale entire like bulk pickup and transition are not happening anymore. But you've seen those that ramp the fastest continuing to ramp really fast and being a very significant portion of the volume.
Interesting that you speak about volume. So, I mean, we had a discussion a few weeks ago where you mentioned that over 100,000 CPUs were shipped to customers early. I think you said recently now it's over 200,000 CPUs. Yep. So I kind of did some rough die size calculations of the biggest Ice Lake chips, because there's an image in the slide deck, in the press slide deck. 660 square millimeters. Now that's a large bit of silicon for Intel's 10 nanometer. Easily the biggest you guys make. But with that, and with these hundreds of thousands of CPUs, how do you see the rollout of Ice Lake Xeon progressing, to OEM partners, to specialized customers, and then moving on to general availability, which typically happens, a month to 2 months after a launch?
Yeah, I promise I'm not going to be doing like a weekly blog post of the next number of volumes. It just so happened that we talked and then we were talking. So we actually, I view this one as it's going to be very similar to our other platform transition ramps as far as, rate and pace. We know we have pent up demand to meet that performance. We know we have customers that are looking forward to being on Intel PCIe Gen 4 offering. We know we have, the platform value, the higher memory channels, all of that, and that leads to that compelling performance that customers want to go out and get. So we're planning for this to be pretty in line with a traditional ramp, and we have, staged our supply to do so. The fact that the Xeon scalable or Xeon based, die is a big piece of silicon, or the biggest that Intel produces, is actually, that's not a new Ice Lake comment. That's my life. So yeah, I have to be nice to my factory friends as I ask them for, best yields and highest volume output. What we're facing right now is worldwide constraints on chip manufacturing and in chip components. So we're trying to use our strategic supply chain capability to address that, and intend to support the whole of the Ice Lake ramp. So I think we're actually in a really good position to capitalize on the fact that we are an IDM and have that IDM advantage.
So speaking to the rollout of Ice Lake, you've already mentioned Sapphire Rapids in the interview today, and Pat Gelsing has mentioned it before, and we've already heard about it in the context of the exascale Aurora supercomputer. Either end of this year, beginning of next. With
Yep.
the Ponte Vecchio product. I know you probably won't talk to Sapphire Rapids today, but can you explain sort of how long-lived you expect the Ice Lake platform to be for customers looking to deploy systems today, even with the pent-up demand?
Again, I actually see Ice Lake as having an opportunity to live for quite a long time into that Sapphire generation. And I talked about it a little bit earlier, just that it's not necessarily those wholesale moves. If I think back to starting, on the cloud service provider journey with these major customers, 10 years ago, at that time it was like, get me the lowest performance pizza box, and if anything happens, I'll throw it out, and then when you launch the new one, I'm going to throw them all out anyways and put all the new ones in. It has changed so much. I mean, you have, as cloud service providers have moved into true enterprise class requirements, there are highest performance purchasers. They move towards the top of the stack. They keep products in production longer, because if they, especially as an infrastructure as a service provider, if they have a happy customer, why disrupt your happy customer? And so they have that, need to have that a bit of a longer life on the platforms. At the same time, whenever there's something new that they can utilize to differentiate, create new services, create value for their customers, they'll pull and move towards that. So I think what we'll have happen is we'll have a lot of our Ice Lake customers just continue to, they'll offer them now as premium services and fill in their stack. Then they'll apply Sapphire on top of it. And a lot has been made about how close together they are, but this actually is kind of the representation of what it looks like as we move closer towards that 4 and 5 quarter cadence that our customers want. So there's a lot of market chatter about, like, will they be too close together? And we really see, the Sapphire timing being similar to Ice Lake timing, and having that opportunity for customers to ramp one and then start applying the other one on top. So we'll have to, work through that with the industry, but and we've got a good team focused on it.
Oh, no, that sounds good. That sounds definitely coming across a lot more confident than I guess we were
You
a
were.
few months ago. But no, that's definitely a good thing. So I mean, I do want to talk about competition in the market. Ice Lake has launched arguably later than Intel originally planned, and other x86 designs as well as ARM designs are now in the market. So while the late launch isn't ideal, can you sort of describe areas of the supporting portfolio that Intel has been accelerating aggressively to help increase Ice Lake's competitiveness?
Yeah, again, launch, the important thing is not that you hit a date or a marketing moment. It's that you have your ecosystem ready to go. And that's what we've really been focused on versus, our arbitrary, date management. And then again, we do intend to capitalize on and continue to build value around the remainder of that portfolio that you mentioned. Again, whether that's the Optane SSDs, the Optane persistent memory, the FPGAs, and I enjoy quite a bit with my peers discussing deals that are actually being won and even held at times with customers based on other platform components. So I mentioned 80Q for the Ethernet 800 series. We have customers that the Xeon plus 80Q capability and feature is so important to them that even if they were interested or viewing a competitive CPU silicon architecture, they're sticking and staying because that 80Q plus Xeon solution makes such a big difference in their total cost of ownership or their application outcome. We see the same thing with Optane persistent memory, and I alluded to some of the work we're doing with our FPGA-based SmartNIC wins. It's the same thing. So it is such an advantage to have that portfolio, and it's interesting to see, others in the market that are pursuing to do the same. I'm grateful for our multi-year head start in that space, especially as we enter, as you mentioned, such an incredibly dynamic time in technology and in silicon development and in offerings in the world. I mean, there really is a lot going on right now.
I want to touch on a couple of final points here, because I have you and you are, GM of Xeon and Memory Group. Intel is pushing Optane DC persistent memory, the 200 series with Ice Lake Xeon as that competitive value addition. But it's hard to miss that the agreement with Micron has ended. Micron is looking to sell its fab, and Intel's only public commitment to date has been more research and development in its Dalian plant in China. So can you speak to Intel's vision of the future of Optane, especially when it comes to, say, product longevity on Ice Lake and Intel's future?
I think we are on the cusp of so much really great opportunity and continued customer momentum on Optane. I've talked to you before about our proof of concept conversion into revenue and being at that 80%, and that's just super tremendous for a newish technology out in the market. And so I'm really looking forward to getting the 200 series again out into customers' hands. We've got a great pipeline and we've got a lot of focus on building that ecosystem, just like we had to do on AVX-512, just like we've had to do on SGX, and just like we're doing here. And I know that, the Micron stuff was news in the ecosystem, but I have confidence in Intel's ability to navigate and manage through manufacturing, challenges or changes in agreements like that. I guess I'll just say that particular part of it is not something that I think our customers need to worry about. I think we have a lot of optionality in how to produce and manufacture and deliver the Optane product. So I'm spending 100% of my, Optane time on, again, building customer momentum, making sure they're seeing and achieving and realizing value from it, versus working through, the challenges on the manufacturing side. So I think we're in an okay position there.
In the recent Intel Unleashed event, CEO Pat Gelsinger did speak about Intel moving to this tiling concept with some of its product lines. We obviously have Ponte Vecchio with lots of tiles. He spoke about Meteor Lake moving to tiles. So it's clear that the future is going to be this sort of chiplet tile, bunches of silicon with 3D packaging future, especially for markets that deal with high performance and complex silicon products, which it's right up the alley of Xeon. Right.
Yep.
So can you dive down into how this tiling future of Intel is going to affect the team and the research? And I know you won't speak to products, but if there is anything you can say on that front, that would be really great. Thank you.
Yeah. It's good. It's exciting. It is aligned with our, future. And before Pat had finished his first week, I'd already had an opportunity to spend about 2.5 hours with him, just going over here's what we're doing on Xeon. A few things have changed since you were last here, and had a chance to kind of sit down with him, walk through our long-term strategy, where we're at today. Like, what are we, working through today? What are we setting ourselves up for the future? How are we addressing these customer needs? And really, it was great to get his, initial feedback, his reactions. He's got a customer view that is very valuable to us, coming from not only his obviously silicon background experience, but his last 11 years of really like dialing up his software knowledge, that I think is going to help us so much. And the good news was, walking out of that, getting kind of the view from him that we're on the right track and we've got the right strategy. And now it's just a desire to push us faster, harder, sooner, better, stronger, all of that good stuff. So I think that, Pat's view of our vision, and then this Xeon team that we've built over the past couple years, is really closely coupled. And then we are going to take advantage of all of those unique and differentiated packaging capabilities in order to deliver in Sapphire and deliver in Granite Rapids, and beyond that to some really exciting stuff that we're working on that allows us to use even more of even more of the cores, even more of the portfolio together. So it's definitely put in there. The other thing I'll say is, over the last year and a half or so, we've kind of restructured how we're doing and building Xeon. And it was necessary, and we needed to, and we'd faced some challenges, obviously, that are well, discussed and versed around 10 nanometer out in the industry. And I had an opportunity to move out of my kind of more traditional marketing role into having, planning and product, the product management and the planning and the IP planning and overall roadmap structuring, and build this cross-company team, the Xeon leadership team. That's what it is. And I'm really excited about the group of leaders and people that we have pulled together, that I think represent best in class in the industry, and the work that we've done in the last 18 months to kind of reset the foundation and where we're going. I think it's going to deliver a lot of customer value. It's going to give us an opportunity to take advantage of those, EMIB, Foveros, others on the horizon faster. And it's going to make us more competitive across all types of silicon, not just, x86 competition or any, singular one market. And I look at the way that we've capitalized on a diversity of thought and a diversity of talent. And I'm excited to have leaders like Gloria Leong running all of our silicon design, and Corinne, who's running our validation, and we've got Rose running all of our sales, and I've got Jennifer Hufstetler, her, running strategy for us, and Rebecca Weekly out running our cloud, like our major cloud customers, and Niveditha is running our cloud engineering, and Naveen is running our Sapphire program. And so you might notice a theme with those. I have wonderful, awesome male colleagues that are driving this as well. I've got Sailesh and Ronak, but this core group of women that I'm really excited about in leadership, technical, badass roles, that are out there arm in arm, with me and with our partners to really, crush it and bring so much, performance and capability and commitment back to Xeon. I'm excited. So I say to the engineers of the world, if you're looking for a great team that values diversity of thought and ideas and experience, and wants to capitalize on everyone's unique strengths, then Xeon is the spot to be, to do amazing, cool work.
That almost sounds like a job ad.
Almost, yeah, but no, I want all the people that have the best ideas and really, are looking for a home to make major impact, to feel welcome here. And I like stuff like that doesn't happen if you just let happen whatever happens. Stuff like having that many amazing, diverse technical leaders happens when you're purposeful about it, and you put them in big roles, and you give them the opportunity and the platform to shine. And it was sponsorship I benefited from in the past, and it's my 1,000% intention to continue to pay it forward.
And everybody is making sure that execution of roadmap is the key goal. The only goal, the key goal.
The execution is of prime importance, so you've never seen anyone execute like a mom.
That's excellent. Thank you so much, Lisa, for taking your time, and thank you to your team as well for organizing this. We currently have Ice Lake Xeon testing in the lab. It's actually turned off right now because otherwise you'd hear it through the microphone. I've got a nice little thin 1U dual socket system in my lab, and it's as 1U two dual socket systems tend to be, quite loud. But again, thank you, Lisa, and good luck with the launch.
Thank you very much. Great to see you.